Stefano Amadei posted 1:14.971 on his last lap, and will be pushing hard for an even lower time. With just 67 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Stefano Amadei has a best lap time of 1:14.971.
There is always more time to be found, but Stefano is not guaranteed to find it.
Simon just posted a 1:13.577 crossing start finish.
If there is still time on the clock, there is still time to improve.
Simon of the Desert posted 1:13.577 on his last lap, and will be pushing hard for an even lower time. With just 66 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations.
The time clock can be a cruel mistress that is all too willing to show you your faults.
Sketty has a best lap time of 1:14.643. There are just over 65 minutes left in this practice session. Sketty just posted a 1:14.643 crossing start finish.
Sketty is not giving up and will be looking for every tenth.
Malero has a best lap time of 1:13.283.
If there is still time on the clock, there is still time to improve.
With just 64 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Malero posted 1:13.447 on his last lap, and will be pushing hard for an even lower time. Simon just posted a 1:15.016 crossing start finish. Simon of the Desert has a best lap time of 1:13.577.
There is always more time to be found, but Simon is not guaranteed to find it.
Adam has a best lap time of 1:12.427. Adam posted 1:12.925 on his last lap, and will be pushing hard for an even lower time.
The time clock can be a cruel mistress that is all too willing to show you your faults.
With just 63 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations.
Adam is not giving up and will be looking for every tenth.
Narwhal has a best lap time of 1:13.781. Narwhal has a best lap time of 1:13.781. Kevin Lekmanski posted 2:07.631 on his last lap, and will be pushing hard for an even lower time.
If there is still time on the clock, there is still time to improve.
Here we go, folks. The atmosphere is electric as the drivers prepare to unleash their machines at Watkins Glen short for the qualifying session. The adrenaline is pumping. Kevin Lekmanski is on his out lap, warming up the tires and getting ready to put in a fast lap time.
It's a delicate balance between taking it easy and pushing hard. Let's see how Kevin handles it.
That ASRL T70 MkII Spyder looks good driving through turn 4, S's.
Fans sitting near turn 4, S's get some of the best views of the action.
You can feel the tension building. Adam is out on track and getting ready to push for his qualifying time. Adam is looking relatively composed going through turn 10. Adam has completed his outlap. Adam is working his way through turn 2, S's.
Don't forget to check out the views near turn 2, S's, they are fantastic.
This is where the mental game comes into play. David Zahn is taking his time to prepare for his qualifying run. David Zahn appears focused and prepared driving through turn 11. That's the outlap done for David Zahn. He'll now look to focus on his first flying lap. David Zahn is driving through turn 2, S's.
If Dave listens closely, the sounds of cheering fans should just barely be audible over the roar of the engine.
Simon of the Desert is on his first flying lap.
Let's see if he can put a good marker down.
Adam will be looking to use this first hot lap to set a solid time in the standings.
It's certainly exciting to watch, but let's not forget, the goal is to secure a good starting position for the race.
Adam is 0.35 up driving through turn 3, S's. Adam is currently up 0.44 going through turn 5, outer loop. Adam is expertly commanding that car through turn 11. Adam completes his lap in a time of 1:12.231, currently in P1. There are just over 10 minutes left in this qualification session. That ASRL T70 MkII Spyder looks good driving through turn 10. Stefano Amadei has completed that flying lap in 1:13.871, which is good enough for P5, down 1.64 to the leader. It's all about precision and speed in qualifying, and Malero is nailing both.
Absolutely, Malero is showing the world what he's made of.
Malero is in the green by 0.11, making his way through turn 11.
Malero needs all the focus and resolve he can muster to maintain this pace.
Malero has just completed that lap in 1:13.155, which is 0.924 off the best time, putting him in P4. Malero is down 1.12 seconds on the way through turn 2, S's. MkII has improved by 0.69 up through inner loop.
The rest of this lap is no cakewalk. Let's hope he can keep it up.
MkII is working his way through turn 10. MkII has some work to do, as his best time of 1:13.757 is only good enough for 6th. Stefano Amadei is in the green by 0.22. Stefano Amadei is keeping his head down through turn 10.
Spectators near here can smell the smoke wafting from nearby grills.
Stefano Amadei will be happy, with a time good enough for 5th in this qualifying session. Malero is looking relatively composed going through turn 5, outer loop.
I have always loved this section of the track.
Malero will be happy, with a time good enough for 3rd in this qualifying session. MkII has some work to do, as his best time of 1:13.533 is only good enough for 7th. David Zahn is driving through turn 4, S's.
When I get some free time after the race, I'm going to park my pudding near turn 4, S's with a nice drink and some friends.
David Zahn appears focused and prepared driving through turn 10.
There's a great spot near here to kick back with a cold drink and enjoy the beauty of it all.
David Zahn will be happy, with a time good enough for 5th in this qualifying session.
It may be difficult for him to find that missing 1.113, but that won't stop him from trying.
David Zahn is working his way through turn 5, outer loop.
The action and glory drivers have lived here at turn 5, outer loop is truly historic.
David Zahn is driving through turn 11 and is up 0.16.
All we can do now is wish Zahn luck as the start-finish line approaches.
David Zahn will be happy, with a time good enough for 5th in this qualifying session.
Every fraction of a second counts. He is surely working on that 0.949 gap to pole.
There are just over 5 minutes left in this qualification session. That ASRL T70 MkII Spyder looks good driving through turn 2 S's.
This track has many great straights and corners, but this one is especially good.
Narwhal is in the green by 0.24. Adam is currently on provisional pole, with a time of 1:11.882. Kevin Lekmansky is now up 0.19. Kevin Lekmansky is keeping his head down through turn 11.
Fuel, fumes, fans, and fights, turn 11 has it all.
Kevin Lekmansky will be happy, with a time good enough for second in this qualifying session. Narwhal will be happy, with a time good enough for fourth in this qualifying session. Narwhal is now up 0.14 in turn 2 S's. Narwhal is currently up 0.44 going through turn 5, outer loop. Narwhal is expertly commanding that car through turn 11. Narwhal will be happy, with a time good enough for third in this qualifying session.
It may be difficult for him to find that missing 0.594, but that won't stop him from trying.
Malero has improved by 0.22. It's all about strategy in these early moments. Jake Feemster is taking his time to prepare for his qualifying run and get everything just right. Sketty is 0.15 up driving through turn 2 S's. A solid qualifying performance by Jake Feemster, positioned in ninth. The question now is whether he can make further progress and challenge the frontrunners. Impressive display by Malero, currently sitting in P4. He's set a competitive time, but the question remains whether he can push even harder to secure a better starting position.
I couldn't agree more, Hal. Malero has done a fantastic job to claim fourth. The challenge now is to convert this opportunity into a strong race result.
Currently in second, Kevin Lekmansky has displayed promising speed during the qualifying session. The real test lies in whether he can convert this performance into a higher grid position. Kevin Lekmansky has lost 0.15 seconds so far through inner loop.
The time clock can be a cruel mistress that is all too willing to show you your faults.
A solid performance from Jake Feemster, currently holding down P9. However, with the session coming to a close, he'll need to find that extra bit of speed to move up the grid. Jake Feemster completes that lap in his ASRL T70 MkII Spyder, putting him in P9. What a performance from David Zahn, currently in 6th on the grid. It's a good spot for now, but other drivers are trying their hardest to put in a better time and push him down the order.
Great analysis, Hal. David has shown excellent pace to secure 6th. Now, the focus shifts to whether he can use that track position to his advantage in the race.
David Zahn has some work to do, as his best time of 1:13.128 is only good enough for 6th. Impressive work from Kevin Lekmansky, who has claimed 2nd on the grid. Now, the focus is on maintaining his composure and push for an even better starting position.
Absolutely, Hal. Lekmansky has put in a remarkable effort to secure 2nd. The competition is fierce, and he'll need to stay focused to defend the position.
Kevin Lekmansky is looking relatively composed going through turn 10.
This is such a great track. I need to make it back here more often.
A strong showing from Jake Feemster as he's currently in 9th. With the session drawing to a close, he'll need to dig deep and find that extra burst of speed to improve.
Absolutely, Hal. Feemster has shown great potential to secure 9th. It's now a matter of channeling that momentum into a strong performance during the race.
Jake Feemster has completed his first flying lap in 1:24.915. It's a very still day here at Watkins Glen Short, as we're getting ready to kick things off.
The tension's building now. This is going to be another great race.
Adam is starting this race on pole.
He can't afford to get complacent. He will have a target on his back now.
Starting on the front row gives Kevin Lekmansky the best possible chance at challenging for the lead.
He will have to be smart about his moves. He must not burn out too early.
We're seeing Narwhal in the 3rd spot.
Putting that ASRL T70 MkII Spyder into prime position for the race.
Malero is holding down the fort in 4th place.
The Brazilian driver will be focused on a good result from here.
Coming in at 5th, we have Simon of the Desert.
Like many others, Simon is starting the race on the Standards tire compound.
David Zahn is going to be starting from 6th.
I think we are all looking forward to seeing what David can do from here.
Starting from the 7th position, Stefano Amadei will need to navigate through the field to challenge for the win. In the middle of the pack, we have Sketty starting from the 8th position on the grid.
Sketty would have liked to be higher up, but that's not going to stop him fighting his way through.
As the engines roar to life, Jake Feemster prepares to take off from the 9th position on the starting grid.
He can't afford to be complacent. This is race day, after all.
On the 10th grid slot we have Gregory Myers. The lights go out, and we are off to a flying start.
These first moments can set the tone for the rest of the race. It's all about keeping a clear head and making smart decisions.
All the drivers will be trying to take advantage of the pack whilst they're still bunched up.
Every corner, every lap, and every race is a chance for these drivers to hone their abilities and improve their skills.
The racing is normally closely fought here at Watkins Glen Short. I think we are in for a cracking race. A static streaming is 30th. A tough moment for Adam, who has just lost a place, now in second.
Sucks to be them, Hal.
Great driving from Adam, who has just gained a place and moved up to first. Narwhal wants to get into Malero's slipstream.
I might have said this before, but dog, bone, you know the rest.
David Zahn seems to be putting the pressure on Jake Feemster.
If David gets too close, he might end up taking the paint off.
The pressure is really on for Adam in second as Malero is closing in. This is where experience and skill really count. There's not much to report on from Adam at the moment. He's just keeping his head down and putting in consistent laps. Malero is looking for an opportunity to get around Narwhal.
And Malero is poised to capitalize on any mistake. It's just a matter of who cracks first.
This one's going to be tough. Simon of the Desert is getting his elbows out, and there may not be enough time left for Stefano Amadei to make a move.
Surely he's got enough in the tank to pull away. Gonna be interesting to watch this battle unfold.
Oh, the frustration must be building for Simon of the Desert. He's just lost 5th position to Stefano Amadei, and he's going to have to work hard to get it back. Narwhal is running 3rd, and trying to catch Adam. Hold your breath, folks. These drivers are showing exceptional car control, threading the needle through tight corners. It's a battle for supremacy. Hold on a second. Oh, things are getting intense for David Zahn. He's sandwiched between Jake and Stefano, navigating this high-speed battleground. The gap to the car ahead is 0.1 seconds, while the car behind is only 0.1 seconds away. It's like watching two predators circling each other, waiting for the perfect moment to pounce.
One wrong move and we could see a spectacular new synchronized pirouette performance by Stefano and Dave, though I doubt the judges would give them a perfect score.
The pressure is on as Adam tries to catch up to Kevin Lekmanski.
One important aspect here is choosing the right braking points. Adam needs to be precise to avoid overshooting and losing valuable time.
Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled from being pushed for every last bit of speed.
It's a game of strategy now as Stefano hunts down Dave. Yes, it's all about choosing the right moments to push and when to conserve energy, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike.
Adam is on a mission, chasing Kevin Lekmanski, who's currently got a comfortable lead.
No doubt, both drivers know that one mistake could cost them the position. It's a test of nerves as much as skill.
A top lap time there from Adam, setting his fastest lap of the session so far.
If he can keep up that pace or even improve it, then this could make Adam a real challenge for Lekmanski.
It's a brilliant day for racing here at Watkins Glen Short. I'm really enjoying this.
This race is truly epic. What a treat to be sat here witnessing this spectacle.
This is a thrilling battle as Adam edges closer to Kevin Lekmanski in their fight for P1. These drivers are walking a razor's edge between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely. It's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving. The mental game is just as important here. Stefano must keep his cool while putting pressure on Dave.
It's certainly not going to plan for Stefano Amodei right now, who is struggling to keep up with David Zahn. The pressure is on as Jake Feemster works on catching up to Stefano Amodei. The gap between Jake Feemster and Stefano Amodei is getting smaller. Ada, can you share some strategies that drivers use to manage tire degradation during a race?
Certainly, Hal. Some strategies include adjusting the car's setup for better tire life, altering driving lines to reduce wear, and using tire management techniques like lift and coast to preserve grip for as long as possible.
This is what high-octane racing looks like. Stefano Amodei is breathing down the neck of Jake Feemster, not giving him any room to relax.
You know what they say, keep your friends close, and your racing rivals even closer. Looks like Stefano is taking that advice to heart today.
The gap between Stefano Amodei and Jake Feemster is growing. It's now up to 0.7 seconds. Adam is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift. Things are heating up as Stefano Amodei tries to close the gap to Jake Feemster. It's not going to plan for Stefano Amodei, who is trailing behind Jake Feemster and the gap is widening. He may not have an answer for this right now. We're watching Gregory Myers in 7th, and is currently being hounded by Narwhal with a gap of just 0.1 seconds. Breaking update. And Gregory Myers has just lost the place to Narwhal.
Yes, he's got to dig deep and find some extra speed if they want to get back into contention. But Narwhal is really on a roll right now and is making some great moves. It's going to be a fascinating battle from here on out.
Adam wants to find a way round Kevin Lekmanski.
If you don't push the boundaries, you will never know where they are.
Adam could be on a charge here, Ada. He's just put in a quicker lap than Kevin Lekmanski. Wait. Oh dear, Simon of the Desert has had an incident.
The question now is, can Lekmanski respond to that and pick up the pace? I'm not so sure.
It's an intense battle for position as Adam tries to outmaneuver Kevin Lekmanski. This is edge of your seat racing.
It's a thrilling battle for position as these two drivers give it their all. This is racing at its finest.
Hold on a second. I don't think that's the fastest way around Watkins Glen Short. Every move counts now as Adam works to reel in Kevin Lekmanski and overtake for P1. A brilliant maneuver from Adam, who has just moved up the field. No room for error here. Kevin MkII is breathing down the neck of Adam, waiting for the perfect chance to make his move. Hold that thought. A great pass for Kevin MkII, swapping places with Adam to move up the field.
Absolutely, Hal, but there's still a long way to go in this race, and MkII can't afford to get complacent.
Looks like Adam is really hitting those curbs aggressively, which can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer.
Adam is trying his best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Jake Feimster at the moment. The drivers have been working hard to come up with the perfect race strategy. They've been looking at the weather, the track conditions, and the performance of their cars.
Now it's time to put that strategy into action and see if it pays off.
The race is really heating up. Kevin MkII is hunting down Malero with everything he's got. This is where the race gets really interesting. Adam is closing in on Jake Feimster. It looks like Adam is making a move. The gap to Jake Feimster is now down to 0.3 seconds. We often hear drivers complaining about tire graining. Ada, can you explain what that means and how it affects car handling?
Graining occurs when small rubber particles roll up on the tire's surface, reducing grip and negatively affecting handling. It usually happens when the tires are not in their optimal temperature window or when a driver is pushing too hard on a cold or overworked tire.
It doesn't seem like things are going to plan for Kevin MkII as there is a big gap ahead.
It's not over until the checkered flag drops, and it's important to maintain concentration until you've made it to the finish line.
Things are getting spicy now, as Jake Feimster and Adam look to battle it out for fourth place. The gap between Adam and Jake Feimster is razor thin as they vie for fourth in this nail-biting contest. Breaking alert. A great moment for Adam, who has just gained a place and moved up the standings.
That's what we like to see. Adam is really showing his class today. If things go wrong between Adam and Feimster, they could be exchanging more than just paint, like maybe a strongly worded post-race chat.
The battle for P4 is heating up as Jake Feimster tries to catch Adam in P4. It looks like Adam is pulling away from Jake Feimster. The gap is continuing to grow as they head through turn 4, S's.
This is where the mental toughness of Feimster comes into play. He'll need to stay focused and keep pushing, even when things aren't going his way.
The gap between Sketty and Simon of the Desert is pretty substantial right now. It's probably going to take a mistake from Sketty to even allow Simon to get a look in. It seems like Simon of the Desert is struggling. His last lap time was a bit off the pace of Sketty. I'm curious, Ada, can you tell us about any pre-race rituals you had when you were racing?
Of course, Hal. Before every race, I would listen to a specific playlist of songs to help me get in the zone. I also had a lucky pair of socks that I would wear during races. It may sound silly, but those little rituals helped me feel prepared and focused.
Well, it doesn't look like Simon of the Desert is going to be much of a threat to anyone soon, let alone Sketty.
Simon certainly isn't going to be close enough to mount any kind of challenge soon unless it's down to a mistake from Sketty.
Adam is trying his best to catch David Zahn. Good news for Adam, the gap to David Zahn has decreased. It's now down to 0.7 seconds. Things don't seem to be going Narwhal's way in this race, as that's a big gap he'll have to close to even be in with a shout for gaining a place here. Narwhal is pushing hard and has reduced the gap to Stefano Amadei to 0.9 seconds.
This is where the pressure really starts to build. A driver that stays calm and focused is more likely to come out on top.
This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Adam is chasing David Zahn in P3. It looks like we might get a battle between Adam and David Zahn.
This is what racing is all about. Hard-fought battles with as much determination as respect, between friends and enemies alike.
Oh, this is getting intense. Narwhal is just a few car lengths behind Stefano Amadei.
This is where every inch counts. Narwhal is pushing hard to close the gap on Stefano. Absolutely. Precision and control are key here. Knowing when to push and when to hold back can be the difference between winning and losing.
Braking alert. That won't be ideal for Narwhal. Adam is looking for a way round David Zahn.
For sure, Hal. That's exactly what I would be doing here, as David is going to be aware of him riding his bumper.
It's not looking good for Adam, who is still behind David Zahn, and the gap is increasing.
It's not over yet, but Adam needs to get a move on if they want to catch up to Zahn.
Hold that thought. It's a tale of two drivers right now, with Adam gaining places and David Zahn losing them. David Zahn is running fourth and trying to catch Adam. It's game on now. David Zahn has closed the gap to Adam. It's now down to 0.1 seconds.
He'll be looking for a mistake to pounce on.
Narwhal has a mountain to climb at the moment to close that gap with Stefano Amadei. I expect his only hope at this point is that Stefano makes an error. Stop the press. Oh dear, Narwhal has dropped down to 8th.
Every race adds to a driver's experience, both good and bad. It just highlights that Narwhal is going to have to get more serious with practice to not get outclassed on the circuit.
David Zahn is running fourth and trying to keep up with Adam. It's certainly not going to plan for David Zahn right now, who is struggling to keep up with Adam. It doesn't seem like things are going to plan for David Zahn, as there is a big gap ahead.
It's not over until the checkered flag drops, and it's important to maintain concentration until you've made it to the finish line.
The gap between Gregory Myers and Narwhal is pretty substantial right now. It's probably going to take a mistake from Gregory to even allow Narwhal to get a look in.
Narwhal certainly isn't going to be close enough to mount any kind of challenge soon unless it's down to a mistake from Greg.
It looks like Narwhal is making a move. The gap to Gregory Myers is now down to 0.7 seconds. Breaking news, folks. It's looking good for Narwhal, who has gained a place after passing Gregory Myers.
Absolutely. Narwhal is showing great pace and determination, but he can't get too confident. There are still plenty of challenges ahead. That's a great effort from Narwhal. He'll need to keep up the pressure and see if he can make a move.
Breaking development. Looks like that's a mistake from Gregory Myers. This could be costly.
Oops, Myers is going to be wishing that hadn't happened.
A solid performance from Jake Feemster, who is holding down 5th.
Definitely, but he can't get too comfortable. There are plenty of other drivers gunning for that position, and Jake has to keep pushing to stay on the pace.
The race is heating up as Gregory Myers in 9th closes in on Sketty. A strong showing from Adam, who is currently 3rd.
Absolutely, and he'll need to keep driving with determination to stay in that position.
Impressive stuff from Adam, who has managed to pull away from David Zahn, leaving him in choking in his exhaust fumes. It's a classic case of chasing down the car ahead for Stefano Amadei, who is currently in P6.
We know Feemster isn't just going to hand it to them on a plate. Stefano is going to have to take it.
Stefano Amadei has just put in a faster lap than Jake Feemster, so that's going to give him something to worry about.
As long as Stefano can maintain that consistency and pace, it will be interesting to see.
This will require some expert driving from Narwhal. Stefano Amadei is not making it easy, and the gap remains over a second. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line.
Watkins Glen short is always a test for these drivers, and sometimes that's the way it goes.
It looks like Jake Feemster is all over David Zahn going through turn 5, outer loop, increasing the pressure and hoping for a mistake.
And if you're enjoying the racing, please remember to like and subscribe.
Looking at the lap times, Jake Feemster is not currently on pace with David Zahn. Maybe he'll get a chance to see where to make up some time. Look at that, Jake Feemster is hot on the tail of David Zahn.
With just 0.3 seconds between them, Feemster will need to close the gap to have hopes of a pass.
It's looking good for Stefano Amadei, sitting in 6th.
Yes, but Stefano has to keep his focus and drive with intensity. There's still a long way to go in this race.
The intensity is off the charts as Jake Feemster hounds David Zahn, both drivers pushing themselves to the absolute limit. The gap between Jake Feemster and David Zahn is getting smaller. Hold that thought. And Jake Feemster has just won the place from David Zahn. Things are going according to plan for David Zahn, who is currently 5th. Wait, it's true what they say, Ada, you're never completely useless.
Indeed, Hal, you can always be used as a bad example.
David Zahn is placed 6th at the moment.
Definitely, Hal, but David can't afford to get complacent. This race is going to require focus and intensity.
It's all about consistency for Jake Feemster, who is currently 4th.
Definitely, but he can't get too comfortable. There are plenty of other drivers gunning for that position, and Feemster has to keep pushing to stay on the pace.
Oh no, Ada, look at this, Stefano Amadei is closing in on Jake Feemster. The gap is now just 6.0 seconds.
This is a real test for Jake. He'll need to find some extra pace and hold off Stefano to have a shot at winning this race.
Things don't seem to be going Narwhal's way in this race, as that's a big gap he'll have to close to even be in with a shout for gaining a place here. The gap between Narwhal and David Zahn is widening. It's now up to 12.5 seconds.
This is not ideal for Narwhal, but there's still time to turn this around. He'll need to focus and not let that gap get any bigger.
Adam is trying to catch up to Kevin Lekmansky. The gap is slowly closing, but time is running out. Situations like these often lead to a dramatic finish. Good news for Adam, the gap to Kevin Lekmansky has decreased. It's now down to 9.4 seconds. A strong showing from Adam, who is currently 3rd. Well, it doesn't look like Kevin Lekmansky is going to be much of a threat to anyone soon, let alone Malero. The gap between Kevin Lekmansky and Malero is growing. It's now up to 5.1 seconds. The delta is just over a second, and you can feel the tension in the air. Gregory Myers needs to find a way to close the gap. Gregory Myers is trying his best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Narwhal at the moment. As a former racing driver, Ada, how important is the relationship between a driver and their team during a race?
It's absolutely crucial, Hal. The team provides valuable information and support, helping the driver make the right decisions on track. A strong bond between the driver and the team can be the difference between winning and losing.
Gregory Myers is pushing hard and looking for any opportunity to close that gap to Narwhal. There's 21 minutes left in this session to make that happen.
Anything can happen in racing, and we've seen Greg pull off some impressive moves before. I'm excited to see if he can do it again.
It doesn't seem like things are going to plan for Kevin MkII as there is a big gap ahead.
Anything can happen yet, and it usually does. I've certainly seen drivers come back from worse.
Kevin MkII is pushing hard and has reduced the gap to Malero to 5.4 seconds. The tension is building as Simon of the Desert trails behind Sketty. The gap is slowly but surely decreasing, and the pressure is mounting. It's not going to plan for Simon of the Desert, who is trailing behind Sketty, and the gap is widening. He may not have an answer for this right now. Oh dear, Adam has had an incident.
Did the wind contribute to that? It's blowing at 4 kph out there right now.
A solid performance from Adam, who is holding down third.
Absolutely, and he'll need to keep driving with determination to stay in that position.
The gap between Adam and Jake Feemster is pretty substantial right now. It's probably going to take a mistake from Adam to even allow Jake to get a look in. It's not looking good for Jake Feemster, who is still behind Adam, and the gap is increasing. This is where the true champions shine, and Malero is certainly showing his class in the final sector.
It takes a special kind of driver to perform under pressure like this. Malero has certainly risen to the occasion.
The leader has just finished the race. A fantastic result for Malero. Kevin MkII never gave up. He drove with heart and determination, ultimately securing a well-deserved second-place finish.
Strong work securing second place. Well done.
Sketty claimed ninth. Impressive drive from Adam to claim the final spot on the podium.
Great job bringing it home.
Jake Feemster in fourth. Fifth and 10th sees Stefano Amadei and Simon of the Desert. David Zahn brings home sixth. Narwhal end in seventh. Gregory Myers take eighth. It's a very still day here at Watkins Glen Short, as we're getting ready to get things underway. Simon of the Desert will have the best seat in the house starting from pole position.
It's also a nightmare if he can't hold onto it. Let's see how he will handle the pressure.
Starting on the front row is a great opportunity for Sketty to challenge for the lead.
He can't let that advantage go to waste. He will need to stay focused and keep his eyes on the prize.
Lining up in third is Gregory Myers.
Gregory will be taking no prisoners today.
Taking the fourth spot is Narwhal.
It's not always easy to get the ASRL T70 MkII Spyder this high up the starting grid.
David Zahn is lining up 5th.
Starting from here, Zahn may already have expectations of a podium finish.
Stefano Amadei has qualified 6th.
Another good start for the American driver.
Jake Feemster is placed in 7th.
He's going to have to time his moves just right to move up the grid during the race.
Lining up in 8th is Adam. Sitting in 9th is Kevin Lekmanski.
He's got the heart of a lion, and he won't back down from a challenge.
The 10th starting position belongs to Malero, who will be looking to make up ground early on. The flag drops, and the race is underway. Drivers now face the challenge of avoiding first-lap calamities.
The first lap can be chaotic, and avoiding any major incidents is key. Drivers need to be alert and ready to react to any sudden changes on the track.
There's some intense battling throughout the field as everyone is feeling out the drivers around them. Every lap is an opportunity for Jake Feemster to learn just a little bit more to shave a few tenths or hundredths off his times.
It all comes down to this how, where the rubber meets the road. There's no more time for talk, no more practice. The teams have done all they can, now it comes down to Feemster to bring it home.
It's brilliant to see such a full grid here today. As the tires come up to temp, their available grip is changing, and the drivers that manage this transition best are likely to make progress through the field.
I for one am really excited how the rivalry between Adam and Stefano has been building before the race, and this is where scores are settled.
Stefano Amadei had better wake up a bit here to avoid being pushed to the back, being offline and off pace. Nobody wants to drop positions like that.
The starting grid is no time to catch 40 links how. Stefano better wake up and get on with the job.
It's a steady race for Jake Feemster so far, keeping it clean and maintaining focus.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. Feemster just needs to bide his time and wait for the right opportunity.
Looks like we might have a great battle starting here between Gregory Myers in 6th and Adam. It's been tense with a gap of only 0.3 seconds. The fans are on the edge of their seats. It doesn't get any closer than this.
Lekmanski is so close to Adam that if this were a dance floor, they'd be doing the tango.
Stefano Amadei is giving it his all, chasing down Malero in P9.
Stefano needs to focus to have a chance at getting past Malero.
The pressure is on as Jake Feemster tries to catch up to David Zahn.
Feemster is looking to close the 0.3 second gap and make a pass.
It seems like Adam is getting in range of Kevin Lekmanski. Wait. Big gains for Adam as they move up the field, leaving Kevin Lekmanski behind.
Yes, but Adam needs to keep pushing hard. This race is far from over, and anything can happen. Adam needs to stay focused and drive with skill and determination. It looks like Adam has the speed to make a move. I just hope he can do it cleanly.
It's neck and neck, the closest battle we've seen in a while.
The only thing closer than Malero to Adam right now is the paint on their cars. Talk about a close encounter.
The action is non-stop as Jake Feimster shadows David Zahn through every twist and turn, determined to claim fourth. These drivers are walking a razor's edge between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely, it's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving.
David Zahn is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift.
I would not be surprised to see him get this pass completed soon.
Every move counts now as Adam works to reel in Gregory Myers and overtake for P6.
Adam is really pushing the limits. He's riding the curbs and hustling that ASRL T70 MkII Spyder like a boss.
Hold on a second. That won't be ideal for Narwhal. The pursuit is on. Adam is closing the gap on Gregory Myers, determined to claim P4. It looks like we might get a battle between Adam and Gregory Myers.
Exactly what Adam needed. He can't afford to lose any more ground to Greg.
Wait. Looks like that's a mistake from Kevin Lekmansky. This could be costly.
It's a real shame. Until this point in the race, he'd been looking at a decent result.
Rising to the occasion and claiming victory would help to cement Jake Feimster's legendary status. What a move. Jake Feimster has moved up to second. I think we just got time for a quick shout out to our human creators, Dave, Andy, John and Nigel, who have put so much effort into making this possible.
Yes, it's been a real thrill ride, and I for one look forward to future advancements in AI technology.
Apparently we are going to be announcing crashes and incidents soon. Let's hope they get the logic right. Hold on to your hats, folks. Malero is right on the heels of Adam, and we're in for a wild ride. Malero has got his head down now, working those exits and apexes and setting his best lap time so far with a 1 minute. Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled from being pushed for every last bit of speed. It's a game of inches now as Malero tails Adam closely, ready to capitalize on any mistake. Hold on a second. An impressive showing from Malero, who has gained positions and left Adam in the dust.
Go, 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 that's what we want to see. If Malero gets any closer, he might as well ask Adam for a piggyback ride.
In racing, anything can, and usually does, happen, especially in such an epic showdown.
It looks like Adam wants to take a cheeky peek up the inside.
This is where the race gets really interesting. Malero is closing in on Gregory Myers. It's a close race between Adam and Malero in fifth.
I remember being in a similar situation during my racing days. Adam must stay focused and wait for the perfect opportunity to overtake.
The adrenaline is pumping as Malero gets within striking distance of Gregory Myers in their race for fourth. It seems like Malero is on fire. He's just put in his best lap. Oh, this is getting intense. Adam is just behind Malero.
As an experienced driver, I can tell you that Adam must be laser focused on Malero's every move, looking for the slightest weakness to exploit.
Look at that, they're trading places in every turn, a constant game of cat and mouse. Each driver knows one mistake could cost them dearly. Hold on a moment. It's a tale of two drivers right now, with Malero gaining places and Gregory Myers losing them.
Yes, but Malero can't rest on his laurels, but needs to keep pushing to consolidate his position.
We got a close battle as Adam closes in on Malero.
These two are putting on a masterclass in precision driving. Every turn, every acceleration, calculated to perfection.
Adam needs to find some speed, or maybe get more consistent. Ada. He's just put in a slower lap than Malero.
Hopefully Adam can find some of that missing time and get it back.
This is getting exciting. Adam is looking for any gap that might open up the position.
Adam is certainly pushing all he can, but the gap might be too much. Unless Malero makes a mistake, it looks like he'll hold on to fourth.
Adam is on a mission, chasing Malero, who's desperately trying to stay ahead. It's game on now. Adam has closed the gap to Malero. It's now down to 0.3 seconds.
This is where the pressure really starts to build. A driver that stays calm and focused is more likely to come out on top.
Malero is placed 4th at the moment, and hoping to keep his distance ahead of Adam, who is 0.4 seconds behind.
It's not over yet. Adam is right on Malero's tail, and if he can find just a little bit of extra speed, he might be able to make a move.
Adam has the pedal to the metal chasing Malero.
Rubbing's racing, but let's just hope they don't rub it too hard.
Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line. The battle for P4 is heating up as Adam tries to catch Malero in P4. It's certainly not going to plan for Adam right now, who is struggling to keep up with Malero. As we enjoy seeing these titans of the track battle it out, let's not forget about the pit crews. Those guys and girls are like a well-oiled machine themselves.
Absolutely. They're the unsung heroes of the racing world. But you know what they say, behind every great driver is an even greater pit crew.
The pursuit is on. Adam is working on that gap to Malero, determined to claim P4.
This is where every inch counts. Adam is pushing hard to close the gap on Malero.
Hold on a second. Fantastic move from Jake Feemster, who has just gained a position.
You can't argue with results like that. Jake is really making his mark on this race.
These drivers are battling hard for this position, each one trying to outsmart and outmaneuver the other.
If Feemster isn't careful, he might end up turning this high-speed chase into a synchronized spinning routine, and trust me, that's not a crowd pleaser.
Oh, this is getting intense. Simon of the Desert is just a few car lengths behind Jake Feemster. Wow, David Zahn is really pushing hard to catch up to Malero.
At this rate, Zahn and Malero are so close, they could share a cup of tea and a biscuit.
Adam wants to close that gap with David Zahn.
There is no room for error in this battle.
It seems like Adam has got the bit between his teeth, improving on David Zahn's lap time there.
We will have to see if Zahn has got any answers for that.
You know, Ada, as a former racing driver yourself, can you give us some insights into what goes through a driver's mind during these quieter moments in a race?
Sure, Hal. During these moments, drivers often take the opportunity to assess their race strategy, monitor their car's performance, and plan their next move. It's all about staying focused and finding the right time to strike.
Malero is running third, and trying to catch Simon of the Desert. This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. David Zahn is chasing Adam in P4. Look at that, Malero is hot on the tail of Simon of the Desert. Superb driving from Malero, who with that overtake has gained a position in the race. Hold on a second. A brilliant maneuver from Malero, who has just moved up the field. The drivers are showing their mettle today. It's a privilege to witness their skill on this challenging track.
The stakes have never been higher. This is a battle of skill and nerves.
That's right. These drivers are really pushing themselves to the limit, and it's incredible to see the level of focus and determination they're bringing to the track.
Absolutely. It takes a lot of courage to compete at this level, and these drivers have it in spades. Let's hope they can keep it up and give us a race to remember.
It's like watching two predators circling each other, waiting for the perfect moment to pounce.
If Zahn gets any closer to Simon, he'll need to send out wedding invitations.
Hold the phone. A great moment for David Zahn, who has just gained a place and moved up the standings. Disappointing for David Zahn, falling down the order to 5th.
Definitely, but Zahn is a skilled driver, and has what it takes to fight back and regain that position.
Hold that thought. I don't think that's the fastest way around Watkins Glen short. Things are heating up as David Zahn tries to close the gap to Simon of the Desert.
You can see that car bouncing around as it rides the curbs. It's a risky move that could end in disaster.
The gap between David Zahn and Simon of the Desert is widening. It's now up to 0.7 seconds. The gap between Jake Feemster and Adam may be wide, but that doesn't mean Jake Feemster is safe. He's got to maintain concentration and avoid any lapses in performance. Breaking news, folks. Tough break for Jake Feemster, who has just lost a position.
Absolutely right, Hal, and Adam knows he's got to keep driving at his best and take advantage of any opportunity that comes his way.
The race is really heating up. Simon of the Desert is hunting down Adam with everything he's got.
The gap between them is just over 0.4 seconds, which can feel like miles if you're trailing and not catching up.
The gap between Simon of the Desert and Adam is growing. It's now up to 0.7 seconds. David Zahn is looking for a way to close that gap to Simon of the Desert. The gap between David Zahn and Simon of the Desert is getting smaller. Even though David Zahn is a fair way behind Simon of the Desert, he can't afford to let his guard down. Simon of the Desert is still vulnerable to mistakes.
That's very true, and Zahn knows that as well. He's got to drive his own race and wait for Simon to make a mistake to have any chance of overtaking.
Excellent work from Simon of the Desert, who has managed to increase his lead over David Zahn. David Zahn has a mountain to climb at the moment to close that gap with Simon of the Desert. I expect his only hope at this point is that Simon makes an error. David Zahn is not able to keep his pace consistent, and is currently 0.47 seconds down. It's looking good for Simon of the Desert, sitting in third.
Yes, but Simon has to keep his focus and drive with intensity. There's still a long way to go in this race.
Things are starting to get tense as David Zahn manages to close the gap to Simon of the Desert. It's now down to 0.8 seconds. David Zahn is on a mission, chasing Simon of the Desert, who's currently got a comfortable lead.
Absolutely. Precision and control are key here. Knowing when to push and when to hold back can be the difference between winning and losing.
It looks like David Zahn is making a move. The gap to Simon of the Desert is now down to 0.9 seconds. Things are going according to plan for Simon of the Desert, who is currently third.
That's right. Simon can't afford to make any mistakes or let up. Every point counts in this championship. A commanding performance from Simon of the Desert, who has increased his lead over David Zahn, putting him firmly in his rear-view mirrors. It's clear that Simon is dominating right now. He's making it very difficult for David to catch up.
Well, it doesn't look like David Zahn is going to be much of a threat to anyone soon, let alone Simon of the Desert.
It's not over until the checkered flag drops, and it's important to maintain concentration until you've made it to the finish line.
David Zahn is pushing hard and has reduced the gap to Simon of the Desert to 0.9 seconds. The delta between Stefano Amadei in 6th and Jake Feemster remains over a second, but Stefano Amadei is not letting up. Stefano Amadei could be on a charge here, Ada. He's just put in a quicker lap than Jake Feemster.
The question now is, can Feemster respond to that and pick up the pace? I'm not so sure.
Adam is placed second at the moment. Impressive driving from Adam, who has managed to extend his lead over Simon of the Desert. It looks like Simon of the Desert will have to regroup and try to make up that lost ground. It's all about consistency for Jake Feemster, who is currently fifth. Breaking news, folks. Look at this Ada, what a shame for Jake Feemster. He's lost P5 to Stefano Amadei, and that's got to hurt.
Jake just got served a big slice of Eat My Dust by Stefano. Hope he's got his eating pants on.
Ada, what's the impact of tire degradation on race strategy? How does it affect a driver's approach to the race?
Tire degradation plays a crucial role in race strategy, Hal. Teams and drivers have to consider the optimal time to pit for fresh tires and adjust their race pace to balance speed with tire conservation. It adds another layer of complexity to the racing challenge.
It doesn't seem like things are going to plan for Gregory Myers, as there is a big gap ahead.
Every race adds to a driver's experience, both good and bad. It just highlights that Myers is going to have to get more serious with practice to not get outclassed on the circuit.
Gregory Myers appears to be losing ground on Jake Feemster. He'll need to pick up the pace a bit heading into turn 4, S's to get a good exit and gain some ground.
Greg needs to get it together to make a dent in that gap.
This race is getting even more intense. The drivers are pushing each other to the limit.
It's like they're playing a game of chicken, but with cars. And the winner gets to take home the checkered flag and bragging rights.
That's one way to put it. These drivers have to be in top physical and mental shape to compete at this level.
It's like they're training for the Olympics. And like you said, the mental fortitude required to stay focused and alert for the entire race is wild.
I think I need a nap just watching them. That's not a small gap, but Gregory Myers has what it takes to challenge for the position. A strong showing from Malero, who is currently first.
Definitely Hal, but Malero can't afford to get complacent. This race is going to require focus and intensity.
It looks like Adam is starting to catch up to Malero. The gap is now down to 0.6 seconds. Let's talk about tire degradation. Ada, how does it affect the car's handling, and what do drivers need to do to adapt to the changing conditions?
Tire degradation can significantly impact handling, Hal. As the tires wear, the grip reduces, and drivers need to adjust their braking points, cornering speeds, and throttle application to maintain control of the car.
This is a thrilling battle as Adam edges closer to Malero in their fight for P1.
Adam needs to focus to make up that gap to Malero.
It looks like we might get a battle between Adam and Malero.
This is what racing is all about. Hard-fought battles with as much determination as respect, between friends and enemies alike.
It looks like Sketty is pushing hard to catch up to Gregory Myers.
It's going to be tough for Sketty, as Greg seems to have found his rhythm.
Adam is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift.
The racing is getting tight between Adam and Malero as they battle for P1. No doubt, both drivers know that one mistake could cost them the position. It's a test of nerves as much as skill.
Adam has just put in a faster lap than Malero, so that's going to give him something to worry about. The gap between Stefano Amadei and Jake Feemster is pretty substantial right now. It's probably going to take a mistake from Stefano to even allow Jake to get a look in. Jake Feemster is trying his best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Stefano Amadei at the moment. Braking alert. That won't be ideal for Jake Feemster.
Oops, Feemster is going to be wishing that hadn't happened. This is a frustrating situation for Feemster, but he can't give up just yet. He'll need to keep pushing and hope for a mistake from Stefano.
The pursuit is on. Adam is closing the gap on Malero, determined to claim P1.
It's all about finding the perfect opportunity. Adam needs to stay patient and wait for Malero to make a mistake.
Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled from being pushed for every last bit of speed. On the final lap now, and Malero might just wrap up this win. The leader has done it. What an incredible performance from Malero, who was simply untouchable today. This is a race that will go down in the history books.
You can see the sheer determination on Malero's face as that becomes a win for the history books. That's the mark of a true champion, folks. He'll be the one celebrating at the finish line.
Adam takes second place with a fantastic race.
Brilliant. Adam showed great skill and determination to take second place.
What a race from Simon of the Desert, showing his skill and determination for a great third place finish.
Impressive driving to secure that spot.
In 4th, 5th, 6th, and 8th, it's David Zahn, Stefano Amadei, Jake Feemster, and Sketty. Coming in 7th we have Gregory Myers.